It was a cold December evening, and a snowstorm raged outside. The winds howled against the window panes of Sarah's small apartment, but inside everything felt warm and cozy. The glow of a Christmas tree twinkled softly in the corner, its red and gold ornaments casting delicate reflections across the room. The scent of cinnamon-scented candles filled the air, wrapping her in a comforting holiday cocoon. Sarah stepped out of the steamy bathroom, her skin flushed from the hot shower. Her favorite bathrobe, a plush red one trimmed in white, clung to her damp body as she rubbed her hair dry with a towel. She padded barefoot to the living room, glancing at the Christmas tree. Despite her efforts to make the apartment cheerful, loneliness still crept in around the edges. She dropped onto the couch and pulled the blanket over her legs, scrolling mindlessly through the channels on her smart TV. Christmas movies played on every station, but none could hold her attention. She glanced at her phone, sighing, no new messages, no notifications. Moving to this city a year ago had been a fresh start, but it came at a cost. Holidays had become something to endure rather than celebrate. Her laptop, sitting on the coffee table, chimed. She frowned, leaning forward to check the notification. The screen showed a chat window she didn't remember opening. Having fun alone at home, Sarah? The words on the screen sent a chill down her spine. Her fingers trembled as she typed back. Who is this? For a moment, the chat remained still, the cursor blinking mockingly. Then a picture appeared in the window, a photo of her, sitting on the couch at that very moment. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She whipped around to look at the window, clutching the edges of her bathrobe tighter. The curtains were open, the glass fogged from the warmth inside and the freezing storm outside. Her heart pounded as she rushed to close them, yanking the fabric shut so hard the rod rattled. She turned back to the laptop and her chest tightened. A new message had appeared. Nice bathrobe. Her hands flew to her chest, pulling the fabric even tighter. For a brief second earlier, she'd felt the robe slip as she adjusted the blanket. Whoever was watching had seen. Her phone buzzed violently on the coffee table, an unknown number. Hesitating, she picked it up. Before she could speak, a deep, rasping voice whispered through the line. Leave the curtains open, Sarah. I want to watch you run. Her phone clattered to the floor as she screamed. She backed away from the coffee table, her heart racing so hard it felt like it might burst. The room plunged into darkness. The power had gone out, leaving only the faint glow of the snow filtering through the curtains and the blinking lights of the Christmas tree. The air seemed heavier, colder, as though the storm had crept inside with her. And then came the knocking. Soft at first, a polite tap-tap-tap on her apartment door. Sarah, a sing-song voice called. Let me in. I have a Christmas gift for you. Her knees buckled, and she clutched the edge of the couch for support. The knocking grew louder, more insistent. She grabbed the baseball bat, leaning against the wall by the door, her knuckles white around its handle. The knocking stopped. A suffocating silence followed, broken only by the faint whistle of the wind outside. She turned to the door, her pulse hammering in her ears. Then she felt it, a cold draft against the back of her neck. Spinning around, she shone her phone's flashlight into the room. The beam flickered weakly, casting long, shifting shadows across the walls. Her breath caught as she saw the Christmas tree ornaments swaying gently, though the air was still. Then she saw it. A figure standing outside her living room window, its face pressed against the glass. The storm distorted its outline, but the pale mask with hollow eyes was unmistakable. The phone slipped from her hand as she screamed and bolted for the door. She fumbled with the locks, her shaking fingers struggling to pull the chain free. Behind her, the window shattered with a deafening crash. She managed to fling the door open and sprinted into the hallway, the icy air biting at her exposed skin. Help! She screamed, pounding on her neighbors' doors as she ran past, but no one opened. Her screams echoed down the empty corridor, swallowed by the storm outside. The footsteps began, heavy, deliberate, echoing off the hallway walls. She turned and saw him, the figure in the mask, stepping out of her apartment. His movements were slow but purposeful, like a predator toying with its prey. Sarah fled down the stairs, nearly slipping on the icy concrete. The cold floor stung her bare feet, but she didn't stop. She could hear him following, his pace steady, unhurried. She burst through the lobby door, only to find the building's main entrance locked. She pulled at the handle desperately, but it wouldn't budge. Her keys were still upstairs. "Please, someone help me," she sobbed, banging on the glass. A distorted laugh echoed through the lobby. She spun around to see him standing at the top of the stairs, tilting his head as he watched her. Then he began descending, his knife glinting in the faint light. She ran for the basement, her mind a blur of terror. The air was damp and stifling as she splashed through icy puddles. She stumbled through the dark, her hands grazing rough concrete walls. The laughter started again, coming from everywhere and nowhere. "You're so predictable, Sarah," the voice mocked. "You always run. It's adorable." She found a small vent in the corner of the basement and squeezed inside, her body trembling with adrenaline and cold. The duct was narrow and unforgiving, its metal edges scraping her skin as she crawled. Her breaths were shallow, her lungs burning with fear. The sound of the knife dragging against the duct walls sent shivers down her spine. She'd feel him behind her, closing in. "Go ahead, scream again," the voice taunted, closer now. "I love the sound." She kicked wildly when cold fingers gripped her ankle, but the duct ended abruptly. She was dragged out, her nails scraping against the metal as she screamed. The masked figure stood over her, his face inches from hers. She tried to fight back, but her strength was no match for his. The knife came down, slicing across her shoulder. Blood spattered onto the concrete, the pain blinding. "Why?" she sobbed weakly. The figure tilted his head, almost playfully. "Because you're mine, Sarah," he whispered, before raising the knife again. When her body was discovered days later, the Christmas tree lights still blinked softly in the background. Police found no signs of forced entry, only a chilling message left on her laptop. "Merry Christmas." It was a gift. Rumors spread online of a masked figure who stalked his victims through technology, drawing them into his twisted game. His identity remained a mystery, but one thing was certain: those who received his messages never survived the holidays.